Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله هيا على الصلاة هيا على الصلاة هيا على الفلاح هيا على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Amma ba'd. Inshallah, in today's sermon, we'll go over the etiquettes of dua. So everyone in this world has lot of requirements and lots of needs, and we have like lot of problems. And if it is a Muslim, he would want to have the successful life in the hereafter. And for all this, we make dua to Allah. So it is of importance we understand the etiquettes of dua, so that we make dua in the right way at the right time for our dua to be accepted for this world and for the duas that we make for the hereafter. So first, to understand like what is dua, or what is the significance, or what is the importance given to dua in Islam. Prophet Muhammad has mentioned, dua is worship. So such is the kind of importance that is given to dua. So it is considered one of the most important aspect of worship. So dua is worship is what Prophet Muhammad has taught us. If you understand in a way, it is during dua we understand like he is the master and I am the slave. And you are put forth your requirement. You understand like he is the one who is able to provide you, and you put forth your requirement to him. And he acts as the master, and you are the slave who needs him to provide you whatever you have asked for it. This is mentioned in Sunan Abu Dawud 1479, Tirmidhi 3372, 3828. In all these places, Prophet ﷺ has said like dua is worship. Now, in dua, we'll try to cover aspects like in three of the aspects. One is how and what we should be doing for our dua to be accepted. Second, what we should not do for our dua to be accepted. There are certain things that we should avoid or we should not be doing for our dua to be accepted. And the third one, we would have asked specific dua for a long period of time, and we would worry about it like why hasn't it happened, or what is the state, or how do we take the dua in those cases. Inshallah, we'll try to discuss all this in our today's sermon. So dua we can ask in all states, like while sitting, lying down, or standing. So this is mentioned in Quran chapter number 3 verse number 191. Those who remember Allah always and in prayers, standing, sitting, and lying down on their sides. So you can ask dua at any time in any position, but there are certain time and certain places where if you ask dua, there are higher chances of your dua being accepted, and we'll try to cover some of them today. So one of the best position, or one of the important position where we can make our dua is during sajda. So when we do our prayer, we know like we do ruku where we say Subhana Rabbil Alim, and then we do sajda, we mention Subhana Rabbil Ala. And after that, in addition, we can also make dua. So this is mentioned in Sahih Muslim 479, where Prophet says like you can make your supplication or dua, and it's further mentioned in the hadith, for it is the fitting that your supplications should be answered. So it is one of the fitting positions where you can make your dua and for it to be accepted. So sajda is one of the position where we can ask dua during prayer. And also understand like when we make this dua, we don't do it like in a Jamaat prayer. Like for example, if someone is leading and if he's going to make this dua, it will be long enough and it will be of concern for others. So when you are praying alone, when you are praying sunnah or nafil or qiyamul layl, other prayers, you can try to implement this. And also, sajda is the place where man is closest to his Lord or Allah. That is mentioned in Hadith 482, where Allah's Messenger is saying, The nearest a servant comes to his Lord is when he is prostrating himself. So make supplication in this state. So he's saying like during that position he is very close to Allah, and let him make dua in it. And in further in Sunan An-Nasai 1137, it's further mentioned like, so increase in supplication then. So in that position, make as much as possible. Increase your supplication, increase your number of duas. What is a human being? It's mainly his intelligence. And he's bowing down in front of his Lord, saying like, I'm ready to do anything for you because I accept like you are the one who can give me. And in the hadith, it's mentioned like that is the place he's closest to Allah. So we have to make use of it. So during sajda in our separate prayers, let's make dua for our dua to be accepted. As it is mentioned, like it is one of the best positions for our dua to be accepted. The other place where we can make our dua is during attayat. We normally say like attayat at the end, like whereby we say attayatullahi wa salawatu, where we praise Allah. Then we say salawat to Prophet, where we make dua for Prophet Muhammad. And Prophet has started some of the dua that we can ask. In addition, we can also make dua during that moment, moment of attayat. So this is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 835, where it is mentioned like you have to recite attayat. After that, then select the invocation you like the best and recite it. So whatever you like, ask during that moment. So this is one another position based on this hadith we can understand. After attayat as well, we can make dua. These two positions like sajda and attahiyat are duas where we make inside the prayer. And based on hadith also we can infer like when he says like you can ask whatever you like, as well as in the previous hadith we have seen like increase your dua. We can ask in our own native language. You can ask like whatever you want. Increase your supplication, because these two positions within prayer we not worry like should we ask only in Arabic. No, you can ask in your own language as well. We have seen like two positions within prayer where we can ask, and also there is one another part of the night where there is higher chances of a dua being accepted. It is the last third of the night. So separate our night into like from Maghrib to Fajr into three parts, and in the third portion is the place where high chances of our duas being accepted, because Prophet ﷺ mentions like Allah comes down the lowest part of the heaven and he says like, is there anyone who is ready to ask me dua? This is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 1145, where Allah comes down to the lowest part of the heaven and he says like, is there anyone to invoke me so that I may respond to him? Is there anyone who asks me something so that I can give it to him? Is there anyone seeking my forgiveness so I may forgive? So the Lord, he comes down and asks like, is there anyone who's ready to ask me this and I'm ready to give it to him? So we have to make use of this time and make our dua. Also we can combine this, like we saw like the positions like attahiyat as well as in sajda. And if you are making a prayer during the last portion of the night, and if you can combine both, there are even more high chances our dua would be accepted, because everybody has lot of things that we need and we are into lot of issues where we want that to be resolved. So we have to select these portions and make use of it. The same information is also recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari 6321 and Sahih al-Bukhari 7494. These are things where we can select and we can make dua. The other one is like the third one, another place where we can make duas. Suddenly you get up in the night. That is one time where we can make use of it. So you are like, it happens sometimes like where we'll be sleeping and suddenly we'll get up in the night. So that is one of the time where we can make use of the time to ask dua. So it's mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 1154. Prophet Muslim says, whoever gets up at night and says, he has to say these 6 things. One is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Then he says Alhamdulillah. Third, he says Subhanallah. Fourth, he says La ilaha illallah. Fifth, he says like Allahu Akbar. Then he says La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. After reciting all this, he says like Allah forgive or invoke Allah, he will be responded to. Meaning after saying all this, he can ask for forgiveness and he can make his dua. So we have to understand like this is one of the chance that Allah is giving us. So if you get up in the night, we have to make use of it. You have to think like Allah is giving us a chance, whereby this is one of the moment where we can make use of this time to ask dua for our very high need, or some problems to be resolved, or something we have been needing for a long time. Based on the importance of it, you can make dua and make use of this time. The same is also mentioned in Tirmidhi 3414. The other one important aspect, like for our dua to be accepted, or the high chances of our dua to be accepted, is mentioning the dua of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam. We all know, like, Prophet Yunus alayhi salam was angry with Allah, and for that he was punished by Allah, whereby he was swallowed by the fish or the whale. And in that moment he made a dua. He made like La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minal zalimin. So what he mentions, he's saying like there is none worthy of Allah, none worthy of worship, and then he glorifies Allah, and further he says, I am the one who's done wrong, I am the wrongdoer. And Allah further mentions in Quran, chapter number 37, verse number 143 and 144, if Prophet Yunus would not have asked this dua, I would have kept him in the belly of the fish till the time of resurrection. So that is the power of this dua. So Allah accepts his dua, and then based on that, he forgives him. So we have to, when we make dua, let's ask this dua and then make our dua. This is mentioned in Tirmidhi 3505, where Prophet says, like, make this dua that Prophet Yunus made, and then said, if you make your own dua, so indeed no Muslim man supplicates with it for anything ever except Allah responds to him. Meaning that is the place where your dua would definitely be responded, means accepted. And we can combine all this. So if you select like sajda or atayyat, and then if you take like last third part of the night, and when you are making dua, if you use Yunus dua like La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minal zalimin, and then make your dua, you have to understand like there's high chances of our dua being accepted. So we can even combine all this and make dua for our needs and for our issues to be resolved. Now we have seen like the etiquettes, or what are the things that we follow for our dua to be accepted. Also, there are some things which we should not be doing for our dua to be accepted. One of the things is we should never hurry up. We should not think like I've been asking for it, why nothing has happened. So you should never hurry in your dua for it to be done. So this is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 6340. Allah's Messenger is saying, the invocation of any one of you is granted by Allah if he does not show impatience. Meaning if he shows impatience, it will not be accepted. By saying, I invoked Allah, but my request has not been granted. If somebody says, I've been asking Allah this one, but it has not happened, then that is the act of impatience. So you should be patient to ask him. He has the knowledge, he has the ilm, he knows when to provide you with something. You may not be eligible at that point to get specific thing whichever you are asking. He knows about it. So you have to keep on asking and do not be impatient. You have to wait patiently. You have to understand like he knows when to give it to you. The other one is when you make dua, you should ask with conviction. You should not just like that, like if you want, you forgive. If you want, you give me this. If you want, you do this. Like when you make dua, you should have a lot of conviction and determination, saying like, you are the one Allah who can give me. Who else I can go and ask? So you should have the confidence in it when you make dua. So it's mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 6339. Allah's Messenger said, none of you should say, oh Allah, forgive me if you will, if you wish. Oh Allah, be merciful to me if you wish. You should always appeal to him with determination, for nobody can force Allah to do something against his will. So ask with confidence and conviction when you make dua. Do not ask like, if you wish, you do that also. No, nobody can force Allah, but make your dua with full conviction. And the same is narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari 6338, as well as in Sahih al-Bukhari 7464. And the other one that you need to follow during asking dua is, should be humble, and you have to ask dua privately or secretly. This we can find in Quran, chapter number 7, verse number 55, where Allah mentions like, call on your Lord humbly and secretly. Surely he does not love those who exceed the limits. So when you make your dua, you should be humble, and as well as you have to ask privately. Do not shout. Ask dua privately as well as be humble. When you make dua, you should not think like, I will ask, Allah will be giving it. No. Be humble and be obedient to him, and ask with lot of involvement, saying like, Allah, you are the one who can give me, and show your confidence as we saw earlier, as well as show your humbleness as well when you are asking dua. If you don't follow it, it is also mentioned saying like you're exceeding his limit. So when you ask your dua, make sure you're humble as well as you ask it secretly. And the other etiquette that we need to follow in asking duas, you have to ask dua with fear and hope. You should have both. So when we make dua, we should also think like Allah, like if you're asking dua for forgiveness, you should have in your heart saying like Allah might forgive. You should have one part. Other one, you should understand like He is Ar-Rahman. He is the one who will forgive. You also should have the hope or the belief. You should have both when you ask dua. You should not think like if you ask, He has to give me. No. You have to ask in a way where you have the fear, where you fear Allah thinking like, yeah, He may forgive or He may not, or He may give or He may not. As well as understand like He is Ar-Rahman. He is most merciful. And He would give me, like if you ask dua, I have the hope. You should have the belief like They will be able to give it to me. So you have to have both while asking dua. And the other etiquette that you need to follow is when you make dua, do not ask it in a poetic way. Avoid using such kind of statements. Ask in the normal way that you normally talk. So this is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 6337. This is narrated by Ikrimah, but Ibn Abbas is saying, avoid the use of rhymed pose in invocation, for I noticed that Allah's messengers and His companions always avoided it. So Ibn Abbas says like Prophet ﷺ has always avoided it. He also adds companions as well, but mainly he mentions like this rhymed prose in dua has been avoided by Prophet as well as by the Sahabas. So we should make sure like when we ask dua, we do not have any such poetic or rhymic phrases in our dua. And one of the last and foremost thing while asking dua is you should never ask dua for death or mouth. So whatever the kind of problem you have, you should have the belief in Allah, like you never know what is going to happen in the future. Your problem might be resolved in the next day or the next moment. Allah knows it. So whatever is the problem, never ask for death or mouth. You cannot ask. But say like somebody's in a position where he thinks like, no, I'm in a position like I cannot live this life anymore. The worst case scenario, what he can do is, he can ask dua in a way whereby it's mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 6351. It says Allah's messenger said, none of you should long for death because of a calamity that had befallen him. And if he cannot but long for death, but if he thinks like that's what he has to do, then he should say, oh Allah, let me live as long as life is better for me, and take my life if death is better for me. So there too he says, give the decision to Allah. He knows what is going to happen in the future. If he thinks like it is better for you, then you can live in this life. If he thinks like the other way, then let him take your death. Take your life. This is the worst case scenario where you can make dua. So in today's sermon, we have seen like two of the aspects, like what and when and how we should ask dua, and what are all the things we have to avoid. We'll see some more etiquettes of dua in the second sermon. Wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. In our first sermon, we saw like when and how and what should be done for our dua to be accepted, and when there is a higher chances of our dua that would be accepted. And what are the things that we should not do or avoid when we are making dua. So we have made dua, we have followed the etiquettes, and we know like some of our duas, it looks to us like it has never been accepted. Say like for one of the scenario, like somebody is asking for a kid, he doesn't have a kid, he has been making dua for 10, 15, 20 years. He would feel like I have followed this, I have done all the one, I have got up in the late night, I have done this, I have done it in sajda and all those, but it looks like my dua has never been accepted. Then he has to understand like dua acceptance happens in three ways. So Allah gives whatever you, one of the ways Allah gives you whatever you ask for. So if somebody asks for a kid, he gets it whatever he asks for. The second one is he gives, rather than giving the kid whatever you ask for here, he gives it for you in the hereafter. He increases your daraja over there. Nobody knows like what is our case in terms of hereafter. So Allah knows the knowledge, He has the knowledge, He knows everything. He, rather than giving it here, He wants to give it in the hereafter. So that is the second option, or the second way your dua would get accepted. And the third one is he would remove a musibat or something evil or bad that is about to happen to you. So this also we do not know it. So these are all the three ways. So when we make a dua for a long time, what we have to understand is like either we'll get whatever we got, or it is for the hereafter, or there is supposed to have something that should have happened that did not happen. Say like he is asking for a kid, and for example he is supposed to be beat with an accident, or he is about to get a cancer. Allah might cure his cancer. So in a way, even if you have a kid, if you get affected with cancer, you will die. So you will not even be able to live with your kid. You do not know. But Allah is knowledgeable. He knows what to give it to his slave. So he might remove the musibat. So you have to understand like none of our dua gets rejected. So we have to increase our dua and also understand like none of our dua will get rejected, but it will get accepted in either of the three ways. We have to have this belief and increase our dua. So this is mentioned in Musnad Ah 11,133. We have also, there is one another place where for one another moment where we can make use of dua is the prayer of istikhara. All of us will have some key decisions or important decisions to be made, like whether it is for the job or is it for buying a property, for studies, and everywhere we will be put in a moment whereby we need to make a decision. We'll use our intelligence to make a decision, but Allah is more knowledgeable. So Prophet ﷺ has advised like we have to, there is a prayer of istikhara. After that, we have to make a dua. This is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari 7390. I'll just give a gist of that dua. Like what it says is like it mentions like praises Lord, and it says like Allah, you are the knowledgeable one. So we ask His help to guide us in the dua, like whatever is the right one. And it is mentioned like you ask, or in the dua the portion says like if the decision or the one that I'm going to make is good for me at both present and in the future, in this life, meaning in this life and the hereafter, then fulfill it for me and make it easier for me. And if you think it is not good for me in this life and the hereafter, divert it from me. So you're asking the help of Allah, and you say like, Ya Allah, I do not know, like you are the one who is knowledgeable. So if it is good for me for this life and the hereafter, make it easier for me to get it and shower your blessings on that. If you think it is not good for this life and the hereafter, then divert it away from me. So when we have certain set of decisions to be made, we have to make use of this, pray 2 rakat and then make this dua. So inshallah, let Allah shower His blessings and make us among those who make lot of dua for this world and the hereafter. Wa alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.